Hello YouTube, you're watching Drone Dude, and today I am bringing you a review of something pretty cool. This is the new Osmo from DJI. So guys, because this is a full review, we are going to go over as much information as we possibly can about the DJI Osmo. And I hope you guys enjoy, learn something, and anyway guys, let's get into the review. So let's go ahead and start with what is included when you get your DJI Osmo in the box. So we have the box over here, pretty standard box, cardboard, comes nice and packaged well in here, and it is packaged in this case, and we'll go ahead and open that up in a minute. But this is the case or box that it comes in, and then also included in this box, first, you're going to find your user manual, which you have in here, your safety guidelines and battery information, various stuff like that. And you'll also find some stickers for the Osmo phone mount. Also included, you'll find is the charger for the DJI Osmo. It's a pretty standard wall charger. You got the plug and you have the charger here. And then you'll also find the battery, which I have installed in the Osmo right now, but I'll go ahead and take it out for you guys to see. So here we have the battery for the Osmo. It's pretty small, smaller than I expected it to be, but it's got a pretty good battery life. It gets about an hour of lifetime out of the Osmo. So not tremendously long, maybe a good idea to get a few extra batteries, but it does seem to work pretty well. We also have a strap included in here. This is a shoulder harness for the Osmo. I actually haven't tried it out yet. Maybe it'd make your shots a little bit smoother, I'm not entirely sure, but mostly the camera takes care of that for you. Okay guys, so this is the hard case that the Osmo comes in. It's actually got a really quality feeling to it, and it does feel like it would be pretty impact resistant, so that is a nice thing about the case. Only thing I found was it was a little bit hard to unzip. The zipper was kind of catching on the padding here. But if you kind of use your finger by the base of the zipper, you won't have any issues getting it unzipped. And actually, people have been joking it looks like a little mini ukulele case or something. Yeah, it's kind of funny. But anyway, guys, here is the DJI Osmo nicely packaged in the case. Now we're going to go ahead and open or get the Osmo out of here. And we have just a little Velcro strap here that we're going to undo like this. And you have your Osmo nicely packaged and folded up in its storage position. Now the only thing I don't have with me right now is the lens cap. It does come with a lens cap on it to keep your lens protected. And then also you will find a arm strap or wrist strap here to help you, make sure you don't drop your Osmo while you're carrying it. It's pretty easy. It's a loop on, and this is actually included in the main package. But anyway, that's kind of a nice thing to include as well. But let's go ahead and unfold this bad boy and get it started up. Okay guys, so now we're going to go ahead and unfold the Osmo and get it ready to go and shoot film. One thing to mention beforehand, you will have to fully charge the battery, which is included in the with the Osmo. And this is the charger, I showed you earlier. But what you're going to do is you're just going to plug it into the wall. There's going to be a light here, it's going to be red, and then it turns green when it is done charging. The battery is very simple. Open up the bottom of the Osmo and simply slip the battery in the bottom, close up the hatch on the bottom, and you're ready to go. So there's actually multiple ways you can turn this on. So the way the gimbal works is it's got a locking system on it. And so you're going to have to unlock the gimbal, which is the stabilization platform for the camera, before you do any shooting. I actually prefer to turn the Osmo on before I unlock the gimbal rather than after I unlock the gimbal. It doesn't really matter, it'll still calibrate the camera and make sure everything is stable, but it's just my preference. So what we're going to go ahead and do is going to go ahead and pull down on the right little tab here for about half a second, and it'll turn the Osmo on. And then, so now the Osmo is on. Now we can go ahead and unlock the gimbal. And so this is very easy. You're going to take your fingers and unlock the part of the gimbal right here on this axis. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and take the horizontal axis and tilt that downward like that. And then finally, to fully unlock the gimbal, we have a little lock icon back here and a little knob, and we're just going to push that up. And the camera is now on and completely stabilized. And so as you can see, it's operating like it should. It is a fully stabilized camera platform. And so once you've done that, what's left to do is pretty much get your phone set up with the Osmo. And I'll go ahead and walk you through that, guys. All right, let's go ahead and get to it. So we've got the phone and the Osmo right here. Anyway, guys, so we've went ahead and powered on the Osmo, and the camera gets stable. And then this is the phone mount right here, but we're going to go ahead and set up the phone before we operate the phone mount. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side, and we'll go ahead and get the Wi-Fi hooked up. So, what does it take to get your phone hooked up? Well, it's really easy. What you're going to do is you're going to go to your Wi-Fi settings here, and go ahead and click on the Wi-Fi thing. Get the Wi-Fi turned on as you would connecting to your home's Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi will be an Osmo and then a number. And when you first connect to it, you'll have to type in a password. That password will be 1234 1234, and you will be able to get connected. And so then we're just going to go to our DJI Go app, as you can see, and then it shows us an Osmo there, and you can hit Enter Camera View. And now the only thing that is a little bit annoying, but it should be okay, is that it takes a minute for the camera to get hooked up here. But as you can see, we have the camera hooked up and ready to go, rolling. So now we've got the Osmo sitting here, shooting live video footage. And as you can see, the camera is very stable as I move it around the room. But anyway, that is the phone there set up with the Osmo, and that's really all it takes. You'll give it a minute to kind of warm up with the Wi-Fi, but otherwise it should be perfectly fine. So we'll go ahead and talk about a little bit more about the app a little bit later. But first we're going to go ahead and talk about the different modes that are available on the Osmo. So now is a good time to mention that the Osmo uses a unique kind of mounting platform for various accessories. The accessory that comes with the Osmo is simply the phone mounting plate, and it's very easy to mount your phone to. You got these little two tabs, and you pull the Osmo plate out, and it's a spring system, and so you can just slip your phone in there. Fairly easy, and it's also a really nice aluminum kind of feel to it. It's got a good resistance on it, so it's a really quality piece of equipment. Only thing is it is a little bit heavy, and removing it actually makes the Osmo quite a bit lighter. So it's pretty easy to remove. There's a simple little screw right here that you can twist with your fingers, and you just twist it, and the whole aluminum mounting plate comes off, and you get a much lighter and more versatile Osmo, which you can attach more mounts to. And obviously you don't actually need your phone to be able to shoot footage, only for the initial setup. However, it is nice to be able to use your phones to see what you're shooting, but it's not necessary. So back on the topic of mounts, DJI will be producing and shipping very soon. They might have already started shipping them. I haven't ordered any, but they have created several mounts for the Osmo. You can have an extendable pole, you can have a tripod, a car mount, a bike mount, and a bunch of other kind of cool accessories, which I'm sure will be very useful for some people. So let's go ahead and talk about the different modes that the Osmo allows you to do without the application. So there are three main kind of modes of control that you have without the application running with the Osmo. So we're going to go ahead and power the Osmo on. Should stabilize itself. There we are. And nice and stable. And so all of those modes are going to be activated through the trigger here on the front of the Osmo. And so this trigger is basically kind of an action trigger. It does various things depending on how many times you click it. You can kind of think of it like a home button on an iPhone or something like that. But anyway, let's go ahead and walk through the different things that it does. So simply holding the trigger down will actually lock the camera in a fixed view no matter which way you turn the camera. So I can hold this button down, and as you can see, the camera stays completely fixed no matter which way the Osmo is pitching. Now if I let go of this and I move the Osmo, you can see the camera sort of follows with the Osmo, and up and down movements. It's still going to keep it very stable, but if I hold this button down, no matter which direction I'm facing the handle, the camera will always be facing in the same direction, even if I rotate it all the way around there. So that's kind of Really neat thing, and they have the similar things on some of DJI's drones that they sell. And then the second mode, or actually is more of a reset button. Let's say you got your Osmo kind of turned to the side or something, and you simply just want the camera to be facing back front. It's very simple. All you have to do is double click the front button really quickly, and the camera will automatically center itself back facing forward. So that is handy if you get lost in orientation, your camera's facing upward, all you gotta do is double click and it faces the camera forwards and in front of you. So that's a nice feature. And then the third feature is what people kind of joke about, is the stealthy mode. So this mode can be accomplished in a couple different ways, but the easiest way is to triple click on the front button and you'll see the camera rotate back around and face my direction. And now the camera is facing me, so if I want to get a selfie, I can do it. It's pretty easy, but it's also kind of handy for other things. It's just an easy rotation kind of button. But anyway, we can double click and set the camera back to the center. So, other different modes on the Osmo. So we have a couple other buttons on here to do various things. These are going to be the most used buttons, in my opinion, on the Osmo, and they are on the front area here of control. So our main button right here is the joystick kind of button. So what we can do is we can move this around. If you've ever had a PlayStation Portable, it's got this type of stick on it, or maybe a DS has the same kind of style, but it just pans the camera back and forth and up and down. Now, one thing I was kind of disappointed about is you can't actually pan the camera diagonally. So I can't, make the camera movement go up and to the left at the same time. It's either up and down or left and right. I don't know if that can be fixed in future firmware. I hope it can. But you can still do those movements using the application, of which I'll show you in a little bit. But anyway, guys, that is the function of the little joystick there. And the joystick speeds is actually adjustable within the application. So let's say the speed of the joystick motion of the camera is too quickly, you can easily adjust it in the application. So our other two buttons that we have here is the shutter button, or basically the button that takes the picture. And so if we want a nice selfie, very simple, click the button, and it actually makes a fake shutter sound, which is, it's alright. But anyway, that's the idea of the shutter button there, and it automatically saves any videos or pictures to the SD card that's in the camera. And then we also have the video recording button, which also makes another noise. And it's recording, and you also get, when it's recording, a red flashing light on the left side of the controller indicating that it's recording, kind of the universal recording symbol, and then simply press again to stop recording. So much like a GoPro, you don't need an application or anything to do the filming. However, if you want to see what your shot's looking like, it's definitely helpful. Okay guys, so one other thing that this does feature, which I'm kind of disappointed in, but it does have a built-in microphone to it, and it's actually kind of in the front here, very hard to see. It's a very small mic port, and apparently it's not very good. Now, sometime in between when I started filming this first review video and now, I got the chance to ride in a Lamborghini Miura and test some of the sound out on this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and play some clips from that, and you can kind of get an idea of what the sound is like, how overexposed or underexposed it is. Anyway guys, let's go ahead and get to that. Now, a good saving grace about the Osmo Audio is that there is a mic jack in the front of the Osmo, so you can plug in pretty much any microphone you want that's got a standard 3.5mm jack. Even the Rode camera or microphone that I'm using on the camera to record this video could plug in here, and DJI sells a universal kind of camera mount, so you could actually put a Rode or whatever microphone you're using and mount it on the side of the Osmo for better audio. So that's definitely an advantage in that regard. Okay guys, so now we're going to go ahead and talk about the application. We're going to go through a whole big portion on how the application works and various cool settings that you can set up, how to change the video quality, and various other things that might not be 100% similar to some of DJI's drones. Yet again, the application is pretty similar, but not exactly. There's some pretty cool features that we're going to go through, and let's go ahead and get into it. Okay guys, so here is the application. We're going to try to go through it rather quickly because the Osmo's battery is pretty low and it doesn't hold its battery life for very long. So let's go ahead and get into the application. Our first setting we have over here on the top left is our switching between camera and video options. We can click that and it basically allows us to go to the video options and then change back to the camera options. So that is pretty basic, and you can also do that by selecting the shutter button or the video button on the Osmo itself. Now when you're in the camera mode, you can actually go into this little camera box here and you're able to change your camera settings. You can shoot different modes like HDR and various things, and then we have multiple shots, so you can take different shots, in different intervals. If you want to take action shots or something, I guess those are burst shots. And then we can go into interval shots, so if you want to take a shot whenever, every 10 seconds or however you want to take it, you can do that. One of the coolest features is the panorama feature. So I'm going to go ahead and show this to you guys, and what you do is basically you can click the shutter button and the camera will automatically take a panorama for you of the room. And so the camera will actually automatically turn itself all the way around and snap pictures, and then when it's done, it'll create a panorama for you. Now it's going to go ahead and process the panorama. This takes 30 seconds or so, no problem. And then after that, you'll be able to see the panorama in the application. Okay, and now we have our panorama there, so that's kind of neat. Creates that for us, and you can easily download it to your device if you would like. Okay, and then we can go off of the panorama settings, and then we have other settings for various camera options as well. And then we can go back here, and we'll just stick to our simple camera settings for now. And then we'll go ahead and go to this little tab here, and this is where you choose all of your camera settings if you are a photographer, and you can shoot in a full manual mode and adjust all of the shutter speeds and everything. So that's kind of neat, but you don't have to worry about that. You can just keep it in auto and you'll be good to go. Now, a cool thing about manual is you can adjust shutter speed and your exposure and ISO, and those things really allow you to create really neat and dynamic shots depending on what you're shooting. So that is another cool advantage of the Osmo. Okay, and so now we have one last option on the left here, and that is our picture or video playback. You can click that and you can see all the videos that you've shot with the Osmo all there on the camera, ready to go. So let's go ahead and get on to the right side of the application. So here at the top we have our home button that just simply takes us back to the home screen of the DJI Go app. Here we have our auto white balance, and we can change these to different settings like sunny or cloudy days, and those will change the tones of the camera. I simply leave it in auto white balance, but if you do want to adjust how the image looks, that's the best place to do it. So here finally we have our gimbal settings, and basically we can make the camera in the free mode from here, and then do other things as well, like centering the camera. However, I'll just leave it in the normal modes for now. Now, the most extensive part of the application is the settings here, and this allows you to change camera, gimbal, and then also general settings. The camera settings, this is mostly for video. Up here, we can change the video resolution, which comes normally in 4K, but over here, we can do 4K at 24, 30 frames per second, and then 2K or 2.7K at 30 frames per second, and then 1080 at 60 at most, and then 720 at 60 at most. And then also we have our slow motion setting down here at the very bottom, of which you can shoot in full 1080p at 120 frames per second. And I'll give you guys a few examples of what those slow motion shots look like now. Okay, so we also have the ability to change our format from MOV to .mp4 depending on the files you like to use. We can turn the sound on or off. I leave it on even though it's not necessary. Video format, you can do the PAL or NTSC depending on your region or location. And then you could do the image ratio as well for photos, 4:3 or 16:9, of which I prefer to leave it in. And then this comes default on just JPEG, but I like to shoot a JPEG image and a RAW image at the same time so I can do some editing to my photos, and so that is there as well. And then down here are your basic camera settings. For the camera, you can turn on a grid to help you get that rule of thirds in there, histogram and anti-flicker, and then you can reset all your camera settings down there at the bottom. Okay. Now we have our gimbal settings here, and this is where you adjust how fast the gimbal joystick on the Osmo itself spins. You can actually do custom modes, but I prefer to leave it in medium. That gives it kind of a good mid-rate for the panning of the gimbal. Now you can calibrate the gimbal there, and then you can also reset the orientation of the gimbal here, just like you can in the application and with the Osmo itself. And then you can set all the you can reset all of the gimbal settings there as well. And then in the general settings, we can change the Wi-Fi name. So if you want your Osmo to be named something else in the Wi-Fi, you can do that. You can clear the video cache and do the auto cleanup video cache. You can change that. I prefer to leave it off just so I have all my stuff kept there. And then we can format the SD card. So if we do end up getting a new SD card that may be bigger for the Osmo, even though the Osmo does come with a 16 gigabyte SD card, you may want a 32 or a 64. You would format it in this setting area, and then we just have the about, which tells you the firmware versions of the Osmo. And so we go back here to the main screen, and we just have one more feature to talk about, and that is the ability to pan the camera without actually touching the camera itself. So you can actually remotely move the Osmo around by holding down on the screen and actually physically panning your camera remotely from your phone. And as you can see, you can do extremely smooth transitions, and you can actually move the camera upward at an angle and downward at an angle, unlike you can do with the joystick. So that's kind of a nice setting to have there, especially for wireless shooting. If you have it mounted on a car or something, this could be really handy for that. And then one more thing I forgot to talk about in the video mode, we have our video settings here, and basically our only video setting for recording is either shooting in auto, which is whatever setting you have set in the settings for the video quality, or you can shoot in slow motion, which allows you to shoot the slow motion video. Now, one thing I noticed about the slow motion video is that it seems to zoom the camera in more so than when you're in the auto setting. So you can see there's a lamp there. I go to the slow-mo video, and this is actually true for the video. It's actually, the frame is a lot thinner and it's a lot more zoomed in. I'm not entirely sure why that's that way, but it seems to maintain good quality, and the slow-mo actually works very well. All of the information that you need for camera settings, and then also your battery life and Wi-Fi connectivity, is all up here at the top of the screen. As you can see, we have the ISO setting, the shutter speed, the exposure, and the video format. And then we also have the battery life, which is at 6% right now. So this thing's about to die. As you can see, it's red, meaning that it's low. And then finally, we have our Wi-Fi signal there. And this tells us that we are shooting in auto exposure mode. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention is you can automatically adjust the exposure by simply clicking the screen on whatever you want. So if I want that to be highlighted outdoors, or if I want the table to be highlighted it's a simple click of a button that'll do that for you, so that's a nice feature. So after you've had a long shoot and you're ready to fold up your Osmo, So it's pretty simple and pretty easy to do. I'm going to go ahead and show you. The camera is currently off right now, and you want to leave it off when you are adjusting this. But all you have to do, the simplest way, is actually to pull down the lock on the rotation axis of the gimbal, and you pull that down, and then you're going to move the gimbal all the way over here, wait a second, until it locks in place. And now it'll lock itself automatically once you put that lock down, and it will move from that position. And then you're going to take the gimbal right here on the vertical axis, or actually horizontal axis, and you're going to move it downward like this. And then you're going to take the up and down axis and move it facing away from the controls on the camera, and your camera is now locked and ready to be put in the case. So what do I think of the Osmo? Well, I think it's a great camera platform for amateur cinematographers, maybe somebody who's never picked up a camera before in their life and wants to shoot some great video, or even professional operators. And this actually, you can mount the DJI Zenmuse X5 gimbal, which is the addition that they made to the Inspire camera, but basically it's a nicer camera. And actually, to remove this camera on here, it's a simple twist on the bottom here, and the camera is easily, maybe, removable from the camera mount there, and so you can put a nicer camera on there. They haven't come out with the mount as, for the X5 as of this video, but it can be done. So guys, everything together, the Osmo costs $650 with the camera and the platform. Now you can also buy the Osmo without the camera if you have a DJI Inspire 1. You can actually use the camera from that on the Osmo. However, you cannot use the Osmo camera on the Inspire 1. I've heard it's firmware blocked, which is kind of ridiculous because I think it would be usable in the Inspire. However, they haven't allowed it. The only advantage to this camera that is on the Osmo is it does have a much higher frame rate at 1080p, the 120 frames a second for slow motion video, which I thought was really cool. So $650, you get a fully stabilized camera platform. If you think about it, you can get a GoPro for $500, and then you have to pay an extra $200 for a handheld stabilizer much like this that doesn't have a lot of the features that this allows you to have. So honestly, I think this is kind of a better deal than a GoPro. However, obviously you cannot mount this to various things like you can mount the GoPro to. This is a little bit more delicate, but for simple video, it's definitely a great tool for that. So what do I think of the quality of the images that come from the Osmo? Well, I will say that the actual picture quality, if you take images, it's a 12 megapixel camera, so they're not amazing. You know, they'll still work for your desktop, but they're not amazing. You can't zoom into the pictures too much without losing a lot of the quality. While you can mount the X5 camera gimbal on here, and you will actually get 16 megapixels out of the camera, which is kind of cool. But yet, again, you're going to be paying an extra couple grand for an X5 camera. So if you're just sticking to the X3, the actual picture quality is not going to be amazing, but it's still going to do a pretty good job, just the same as the GoPro, maybe a little bit better. It's got a bigger lens, which means it'll let in more light, and not only for pictures, but for video, that is very good. So that is another nice thing about the Osmo. So guys, I want to thank you very much for watching. I'm going to leave you guys with a couple clips that I've shot with the Osmo. And I actually probably will come out with a GoPro versus Osmo footage comparison so you guys can see some of the image quality differences in the two. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.